Hello, my name is Miss Jones. I teach elementary school math, and welcome to my channel, Miss Math Jones. Today we're going to be working on our third grade Motivation Math Unit 38 homework. It's about financial literacy. Our objective for this homework is to review income, what affects income, and what effects supply and demand have on price. Let's get started. Now, before we get started with number one, I just want to remind you that you should always try to complete your homework by yourself before asking for help. And when you do ask for help, make sure that you are paying attention to how someone is helping you so that next time you can do it on your own. Now, let's get started with number one. It says, Mona is an assembly line worker at the candy factory. So when somebody works on an assembly line, that means that their job is to help assemble or put together things. And in this case, it's probably put together candy. She might be putting on, I don't know, a wrapper, making sure the wrapper's on straight, something like that. She works on an assembly line, assembling or putting together things. All right, she makes $15 an hour. So for every 1 hour she works, she makes $15. At the same candy factory, Rico, an engineer, now usually engineers, you have to go to school for at least 4 years. Most engineers is 5 years, 5-year diploma, or really 5-year bachelor's degree. He makes $40 an hour. All right, so she makes $15 an hour. He makes $40 an hour. Already, that's a big difference. If they both work 7 hours on Monday, how much more will Rico make than Mona? Okay, so this is a three-step problem, right? Because first we have to figure out how much money Mona makes, then how much money Rico makes, and then we have to figure out how much more money will Rico make than Mona. So you may need scratch paper because the area to write on this worksheet is very small. Now let's get started with figuring out how much Mona makes. So Mona makes $15 an hour. So let's go ahead and write down 15. And to figure out how much she made on Monday, we're going to multiply that $15 an hour times 7 because she worked 7 hours. And then we're going to go ahead and solve. So first, we start by multiplying 7 times 5, which is, if you said 35, you're absolutely correct. I put my 5 there, my 3 at the top, right? Then I multiply 7 times 1, which is, that's right, 7. So I still have a 3 up there over the tens place that I've not done anything with. But since that 3 is in the tens place, it has a value of 30. So I'm going to go ahead and add that 30 to the answer that I already have. And I start with my tens place. So that means 5 plus 0 is, that's right, 5. And 7 plus 3 is, good, 10. Which means on Monday, Mona earned $105 for her labor. Now, let's figure out how much money Rico earned. So we know that he earned $40 an hour. He earns $40 an hour. And we're going to multiply that $40 an hour times the 7 hours that he worked on Monday. Now, pay attention. Mona and Rico worked the same amount of hours on Monday. Mona gets paid $15 an hour. Rico gets paid $40 an hour. And you're going to see how big a difference that makes. Now, to solve, let's go ahead and start by multiplying 7 times 0, which is 0. And 7 times 4, which is 28. Beautiful. So that means on Monday, Rico earned $280 for his labor. Now, anytime you see the words how much more together, or how many more, or how much fewer, or how many fewer, you're subtracting. How much more, how many more, still the same. You're still subtracting, okay? So we're going to write down Rico's earnings, which is $280, and we're going to subtract Mona's earnings, which is $105, to find how much more Rico earned than Mona. So let's start with the ones place. 0 minus 5. Well, if I hold up 0 fingers, a fist basically, I cannot subtract 5. So I need to go next door to the tens place. Now, I have 8 tens, which means I have enough tens to let the ones place borrow something, right? So instead of 8 tens now, because I'm going to let the ones place borrow 10, now I have 7 tens. And now in the ones place, I have 10 ones. Now I can subtract. So what's 10 minus 5? Right, 5. And what's 7 minus 0? Beautiful, 7. And 2 minus 1? That's right, 2. Ha! It's 1. I like putting one of those in there for you to go, nope, that's not right, Miss Jones. Yeah, it's 1. 2 minus 1 is 1. Perfect. So our answer is that Rico makes $175 more than Mona on Monday. Now, you have another question there, and it says explain one reason why Rico earns more money per hour than Mona. Well, as I said before, Rico has more education than Mona. Rico is an engineer, which means he has at least a 4-year degree. Mona is an assembly line worker, which means she may only have a high school diploma. So, not always, but many times, the more education that you have, the more money you're able to earn. Now, go ahead and use my screen to check your work that you've obviously already completed before watching this video. And if you need to pause the video to do so, go ahead and do so now. All right, let's take a look at number 2. Number 2 says T-Mart orders 1,000 writing toys. The store plans to sell each toy for $50. Only 560 writing toys are sold. So they wanted to sell 1,000. Okay, they ordered 1,000. They thought they were going to be able to sell 1,000, but they only sold 560 toys. So that means they have some left. What could the store do to try to sell the remaining toys? Well, what could they do? They're selling them for $50 each. Apparently, people don't want to buy them anymore for $50 each. So what could they do? Now, if you said they could change the price to a lower price, then you're absolutely correct. That's what happens when you see things on sale or for clearance in stores. They order too much, people aren't buying it, so they lower the price to make sure that they can get rid of those things. It's called supply and demand. They have too much supply, not enough demand, so they have to lower the price. Now, it also asks you to explain how this situation is an example of how the availability of resources affects the price. So here's the explanation for that. When supply, which means the resources, when the supply is low, okay, and the demand is high, the price is high. Now, that's just like Jordans, all right? They don't make a lot of Jordans, so the supply is low, resources are low. But a lot of people want them. The demand is high. So that's why a pair of Jordans costs so much. Price is high. But on the other hand, let's say Walmart tennis shoes, right? When the supply is high, it's a lot of Walmart tennis shoes, right? But the demand is low, nobody's sitting in line to buy them, right? They don't want them, not like that, you know? Then the price is low. That's why they cost like $20 as opposed to $150 to $250 for a pair of Jordans. Okay, so resources, the availability of resources and the demand affects the price. Now, if this is the answer that you got when you worked out your homework on your own, great. If you got something close to it, looks about the same, that's also good, right? If you didn't understand the question at all and you needed a little help and you're using my screen to help guide you through the homework, that's fine also. But if you need to pause your video at this point to write everything down, go ahead and do so now. Number 3 says Carl is 8 years old and he wants to buy the latest video game. The cost of the video game is $39. Carl has $22 in his piggy bank, so Carl does not have enough money. Name 2 examples of labor is work, that Carl could complete to earn the needed income. Income is money that you earn from doing jobs to purchase the video game. Okay, so as a kid, you don't have a lot of options, but you do have some. I said that Carl could complete chores for money, or Carl could help neighbors that he knows with his parents' permission in exchange for money. Now, this might be a really good question to ask your parents for suggestions about the things that a kid could do that's about 8 years old to earn an income, to save money to buy things that you might want. So this would be a really good conversation to have with your parents. All right, now, if you could not have that conversation with your parents, or if you could not think of anything on your own, feel free to pause your video and use my answers to guide yours. Number 4 says Hampton Baseball Stadium has 9,500 seats. For today's baseball game, the stadium sold 8,437 seats. Using this information, answer the following questions. First question asks you, what number represents the supply in the situation? Now remember, the supply is the item being sold, right? So in this situation, the supply are the seats. So how many seats do they have to fill? That's right, 9,500, because the seats are the product being sold. Okay, so the whole stadium has 9,500 seats. They want to sell all of those seats. The next question asks, what number represents the demand in the situation? So demand is what people want, you know? How many people want this thing? How many people are demanding it? We want seats. So what's the demand? What do people want? How many seats did they actually purchase? That's right, 8,437, because the amount of seats that people demanded is the amount that was sold, 8,437. Now, this final question asks, write an equation that shows how much greater the supply is than the demand. Okay, so 9,500 minus 8,437 equals the amount that shows how much greater the supply is than the demand. So let's set up our equation. 9,500 minus 8,437. Okay. Now let's start in the ones place. I have 0. I need 7. Do I have enough? Nope. Go next door. Well, tens place can't give me anything. Go next door again. Well, the hundreds place can give me something, so let's start there. So I'm going to turn this 5 into a what? Right, a 4. All right, so the 5 becomes a 4 because I just borrowed 10 to give to my tens place. All right, so now my tens place has 10. But my ones place still needs something because they only have 0 and they need 7. So we're going to borrow a 10 from the tens place, which leaves us with 9 tens. And we're giving a whole 10 to the hundreds, sorry, the ones place. So what's 10 minus 7? 3. And 9 minus 3? 6. And 4 minus 4? 0. And 9 minus 8? 1. So the supply is 1,063 seats greater than the demand. Now, if you need to pause your video to check to make sure the work that you did matches mine, go ahead and do so now. Congratulations, Unit 38 homework is complete. I hope you tried to complete it on your own before checking your work using the video. As always, I hope this video helped, and I hope you're having a great rest of your day or evening, whatever time of day it is you are watching this video. Make sure that when you're completing math, that you always check your work just to make sure that your math is mathing. And as always, please, please, please be sure to try things on your own before receiving help. As always, this is Ms. Jones saying bye until next time.